Welcome back to Journalist Hangout on Sunday. Thank you so much for staying with us. And I've been hanging out with Babajide Kolade Otitoju and Dotun Oladipo. Now let's move on to some security matters. Benue State, north-central Nigeria, is at the receiving end of brutal attacks by bandits again. In the face of the attacks, the state governor, Reverend Father Hyacinth Alia, said the 14-day ultimatum given to herdsmen who are engaged in open grazing has elapsed. Governor Alia declared that now is the time for the full implementation of the anti-open grazing law by security agencies in the state. Let's hear from officials of the state, and we'll be right back to talk about this.
The 14 days, which was issued as the ultimatum for armed herders to leave the states, lapsed. The provisions of this law, the anti-open grazing law, regardless of your background or wherever you come from, the full weight of the law will be brought to bear on you. I must say this for emphasis.
That the law is not against herders. What the law is against is open grazing. The law is enforced. If you are caught in the act of open grazing, the law will take its course.
I'm assuring you, the security agencies, Operation White Stroke, and other security agencies operating within the state will implement the full directive of the state.
Right, gentlemen, over 5,000 deaths were attributed solely to attacks by herdsmen during the time of the former governor's summer autumn. Yeah. And for majority of the stakeholders, this is a welcome development. Dotun, let me start with you.
Well, for me, it's not as if it's not a good development. But the big question is, was that law repealed at any point in time? What happened that brought them back? Because this was largely what the former governor had to contend with. You recall that at some point in time, even the governor was attacked during one of his visits to a community where they said they spotted herdsmen. So this law, it wasn't as if after the former governor left, or the fact that there was a change in party, moving from People's Democratic Party-led government to an All Progressive Congress-led government, that there was any law that changed in that place. So, coming to say you are giving another ultimatum to enforce seems to me like maybe you allowed them in and then you now want to enforce it. The law has been there all this while, as passed by the past administration. So how this happened...
There were reports that the governor had to soften some of the measures.
How this happened, I wouldn't know, because everywhere around the country, including the Federal Capital Territory, we've been talking about stopping open grazing. In fact, the last administration did promulgate a law, did set aside huge sum of money for ranching. So how we have now come to this point where this same set of people have now become lords and laws unto themselves, I don't know. Because some things are usually very strange to me when I hear them. We should ensure that this doesn't happen again. Not under the watch of a PDP-led government or under the watch of an APC-led government. What has happened in Benue in the last 8 years, 9 years, is enough to wipe out the whole country if it had been allowed to spread the way the herdsmen were going about it. Because at some point, they were moving into Nasarawa and then part of Plateau, with Plateau having its own issues, distinct. So I think what the governor has said is right, but I'm just amazed that he's talking about another ultimatum when the law has been in place. It's implementation that we should be talking about. We shouldn't even be giving anybody another ultimatum. Implement the law.
Thank you. Governor Alia is now talking tough.
Governor Tom at that time was given such a bad name. They say, he's always, instead of him to pay salary, he's always talking about Fulani herdsmen. He can't pay salary, he's talking about Fulani herdsmen. Under Alia now, these people have already killed. They've killed dozens and dozens of people. In one day, they killed about 50. It's gone on like that under this new governor. So, Governor Alia will be seen, is feeling what Otom was feeling. Because these guys, they even went to an IDP camp to kill people. People who are running away from you. They left their communities. You kill them, you set ablaze their houses. You now had the audacity to go into the IDP camp to still kill people. That's why Governor Tom was very sad at that time. Some of the things that they will say is because he cannot pay salaries. You are ignoring the real issue. He's complaining about people killing his people. You are saying he's politicizing it. Why are you so wicked in the way you reason? In Agatu, recently, they killed people. They've been killing people in Benue.
Even on Thursday, 16
They've
people
been killing
were killed.
people. So if Otom meant well when they came up with that anti-open grazing law, because we cannot continue to say, we are doing our best to ensure peace between herders and farmers, and you are watching people eating up crops, using their cattle to eat up crops that it took a whole year to tend. There was a video that I saw from Ekiti where someone's farm was literally destroyed. And according to him, it was in the night that they came. Because it was at the same farm the day before. It was in the night they came and destroyed a farm that cost him a fortune to bring up to that level. Destroyed. There's no way you do this to people and you expect them to be happy. Politicians have a way of politicizing literally everything, and to their shame. Because when Otom was talking about this, instead of leaders from all the parties to say, look, let's speak as one on this matter.
Let's come together.
What they said, divided along political lines. You saw some of them say, no, we don't want this anti-open grazing law. Now we have a different party. Otom was of the PDP. Now we have the APC. And they don't have peace. Now they are going back to the same law that so many of them opposed. They called him names. The instead of paying salary is always talking about Fulani herdsmen. Okay, if they are killing his people, don't you expect him to be worried? Who is that governor that they will be killing his people and they will not be worried? Did you not contest election promising that you would take care of the people's welfare, you would take care of the people's security? This is what we are seeing. You can't have, this modern age, you can't have open grazing, for God's sake. Even your cows will be bigger if you localize them in a place and they don't have to move from Benue State all the way to Lagos. On the way, they will lose weight. You start seeing their bones. But if you localize them in a place,
I saw some yesterday.
it felt like eating them. You know, if you put them in a place, they are localized in a place. Look at, one day we showed the Wasiu and these cows.
Yes, the farm.
They look like those cows that you see in Florida. Very big. They look like those cows of Mambila. Very big.
The ones of Egypt in those days.
What are we talking about? In this modern age, go and look at the countries, the highest producers of beef in the world. We don't rank at all. Even in the African continent, we don't rank.
South Africa is beating all of us.
Uganda, all of them, they produce more meat than us. They produce even beef. What are we producing? What is the average? Zimbabwe, all of those countries, they produce more meat than Nigeria. Instead of us to embrace the modern methods, we still want to do it the old way, and we cause people to lose their lives in the process. What is the problem? Now this Alia now, the governor is realizing that this is the way to go. There is a law that because a new government came, you relax things. Now you can see, I saw him talking some time ago and even claiming that the people who attacked that place were from Benue State. I looked at him and said, this man is playing politics. By the time they begin to kill your people, nobody will tell you when you will change.
And in his words, he said, I can see that what happened is a calculated attempt to test the resolve of my government.
And those guys will test you. They will test you if you know. So if I implemented that kind of law in Ekiti, if they see that it appears that you are not too serious, they will continue to trample on the law. They want to see whether you have the political will to enforce it. And it takes a lot of stubbornness and determination because you will face pressure from Abuja, from everywhere. You will face pressure. When you seize the cattle, when you seize the cattle, you receive. What's his name? The former governor of Ondo State said you need to come and register to graze in the forest of Ondo State. People got up. They said, no. What's the meaning? He does not own. Every Nigerian should be free to move around. Must every Nigerian be free to openly graze on people's farmlands? Are you kidding me? Do you know what we are talking about?
And even in government forests.
Government forests is saying, look, register. They called him names. They called him names. You want people to be unleashed on people's farmlands, eating up their crops. There was a woman that I saw from Osun State. She planted ewedu. I don't know what they call ewedu. I can't remember. Is it lettuce or what is it?
Something close to that.
The cows ate up the ewedu that the old woman, someone close to my mother's age mate. How can an old woman like that make all that sacrifice? You now unleash your cow on her farm. I mean, it's
but gentlemen,
jute leaves.
8 years of education collapse in Benue State. Is this enough to secure the states?
No, it's the political will that will be enough. It's a matter. You see, we've been talking about. There was a time the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps was talking about agro rangers. We've not been able to achieve that. Why? NSCDC is not sufficiently armed and empowered in terms of manpower to cover our forests. Otherwise, they have that unit, the agro rangers, under them. Perhaps when we develop to the point of having state police, we are going to be able to set aside people who will man the forest. In this country before, we used to have forest guards. They're all gone now. Those people who knew the forest back to back. It was in this country that people were taking out wood to go and make chairs. We used to do that inside this country before. But even the owners of the forest, the government, they've lost the forest to these people. The last time,
bandits have taken over.
They've taken over. In Ondo State, they saw about 5-10 people. They had motorcycles with them. They had axes. They had this, they had that. They asked them, what are you doing here? They said they are grazing. Where are your cows? They couldn't produce any. And you said you are herders. So what are you doing in the forest? So we need that political will to go. Then we also need the force to handle it. Whether it is going to be NSCDC, it is going to be armed forest guards, we need people to be in that forest so that we are not realizing how much we are losing to this because we have stopped producing as a nation. Most of the things that you see now, we bring them from outside, even wood that we use for our chairs.
I saw imported eggs. Even
so
beef.
We don't know what we are losing. We really don't. Because if we stop all of these things and we become productive again, you want to buy chairs now, you go to all these foreign companies, Bedmate, all these people bring in from China. That's why we buy now. Because for even the local carpenters that we use who produce better quality with mahogany wood, to get it is a problem. And these are things that We have freely, or we had freely in our forest before. Where it is controlled, you pay to government, you buy it. We were producing.
All right.
You know?
All right, gentlemen, we're still talking about insecurity, but let's bring in this angle, because as a country,